Let's take a quick trip to a galaxy far, far away to Batuu, Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, California. It was a gorgeous day, not too hot, not too cold, and we decided to make it a Star Wars day because Galaxy's Edge tends to get a little warm in the summer months. It also happens to be Season of the Force at the very moment, but I'm going to try and give you as much information as possible that is mostly geared to any day in Galaxy's Edge, not specifically geared to just Season of the Force. That way you have information for whenever you decide to visit. There are 3 main ways to get into Galaxy's Edge. It is quite separated from the rest of the park, which really elevates that immersive experience. We decided to cut through Frontierland today to go through the middle entrance, and I love the transition from Frontierland to Galaxy's Edge. I think they've absolutely nailed it. And of course, we're immediately going to start seeing a ton of Star Wars merch, which is really one of the only places inside of the parks that you're going to get a lot of Star Wars merch. Now, first, we decided to go to the Droid Depot. This is so well decorated. We love walking through here. The ambiance is fantastic, but of course, you can also pay for the experience to create your own droid from scratch. Now, you may not have the time or the funds. It is quite pricey. They do have some droids ready to go right off the shelf. Most of these are going to be movie accurate droids, but if you wanted something a little bit more customized, if you wanted to let loose on your creativity and build one from scratch, this is truly a very unique and rewarding experience. This is not something I've personally done just yet, but I have seen so many smiles walking out of the Droid Depot to attest to this being amazing. I've also had some first-hand experience with friends making droids, so trust me when I tell you this is something that I know is worth it. I just personally have not had the perfect moment to do it. Essentially, you'll come into this gated off section and you will be able to pick all of the parts for your droid, so you get to really choose what that droid is going to look like. And then in the middle of the room, there is an assembly station, and you will have a cast member kind of walk you through it and help you piece all of the things together that you have selected, making your perfect droid. As I mentioned before, there is not a lot of Star Wars merch available throughout the Disneyland Resort, so you're really going to find very unique pieces in Galaxy's Edge. They do have some items, more mainstream items in the Tomorrowland area, as well as a couple of pieces in some of the main stores on Main Street. And then there is a Star Wars dedicated store in downtown Disney, where they'll have a little bit more specific merchandise as well. But for really, truly unique Star Wars pieces, you're gonna have to venture out to Galaxy's Edge. One activity we recently stumbled upon and really enjoyed is the bounty hunting experience. As long as you have a Magic Band Plus, you can play, but you can also enhance the experience by using the Disney Play app on your phone alongside this experience. But you'll scan your Magic Band and receive some brief instructions as well as your bounty, and then you can go play. The most basic way I can explain this is it really is a game of hot and cold. Your Magic Band will blink green if you're going in the right direction. It will blink red if you're going in the wrong direction, and you'll have to turn back around. And once it starts blinking purple, you'll know that you have found your bounty, and then you can circle back around and come back to the station to report the bounty that you've claimed. We don't wear ours as wristbands because of sensory issues and because we don't want to lose them, but if you are wearing yours as a wristband, it also has some nonverbal cues. For instance, it will vibrate in certain ways if you're doing something right or if you're doing something wrong. See, right here, it's blinking red, so it's telling me I gotta turn back around. I am going in the wrong way. So let's get back on track. One of my favorite experiences about Galaxy's Edge definitely are the roaming characters. For Season of the Force, they did have young Luke Skywalker. I genuinely hope that they keep him on. He was fantastic, and I'd love to see him again. I got briefly distracted, but we're back on track. I think we're going the right way, but in this area, there tends to be a lot of different hiding spots for different bounties. So I was kind of tricked into going to several doors where my bounty was not hiding. But, you know, if you get really stuck on something, the cast members are extremely helpful. So you can always ask for some help, which I was very stubborn about. I was definitely feeling like I could just do this on my own, and I walked around for a little bit longer than I probably needed to. But as a first time experience, I think I did pretty good. I found my bounty within maybe 20, let's say 30 minutes of getting my bounty. So I feel like for a first time, this was not too terrible. I will admit that I may have been the only member of my family that truly enjoyed this experience. So this may be reserved for some solo Disney days in the future. But yeah, I will admit also that it is very difficult in these market areas to not get completely distracted by all of the cute little shops, especially if there are sleeping baby loth cats around. There are so many amazing details throughout Galaxy's Edge that at one point I just kind of stopped and just stared around me. This is the moment where I'm also trying to figure out how many doors there are. But here we go, sleeping baby loth cats, and that's got the attention for a moment. Honestly, there are so many different cool things that you can find. There really is something for every Star Wars fan. Everybody's included, everybody is valid, all of the tastes are here, and all of the different creatures that you can possibly imagine is some way, shape, or form represented, whether it is in merch or in decor. You will find a little something of everything here, and that's really one of the most amazing parts of Galaxy's Edge. But eventually, though, I did move along and I did make my way over to the right door. And let me tell you, there is nothing quite as exciting as having this little thing buzz up the way that it was buzzing up right here and getting that purple signal. I think this is the only moment where everybody else in my family was just as excited as I was. And yeah, so that way we were able to make our way back to the bounty hunter door, scan it in, and receive our credits for turning in this bounty. And it was a one and done for this day because, as I mentioned, I took way too long to find the bounty and everybody was just a little bored with mom's shenanigans. So this bounty was turned in, we got our credits, and then we made our way on to the next activities, which most likely will include food. So stay tuned for some food reviews. There are going to be some areas of Galaxy's Edge that I'm not going to get a ton of footage of. I'm not going to get any footage of Savvy's workshop, which is where you can actually go and build your own lightsaber. This experience is something that has absolutely been on my bucket list for the longest time. It is not something I have personally done yet. There are tons of different lightsaber options in Galaxy's Edge and outside of Galaxy's Edge that you can procure, and different variations of price points, but the Savvy's Workshop experience absolutely is the most expensive for obvious reasons. It is a complete experience, not just a lightsaber. So I will not be filming that. That is absolutely reserved for those who are going to be doing the experience, and I don't want to give anything away on that. Even for myself, I don't want any spoilers. But beyond that, I also did not film some of the more crowded areas. I wanted to give people their privacy to enjoy the parks just like we are, and so I didn't want to be all up in people's faces where they were eating, or where they were just existing. Sadly, that is not always possible when I'm walking around. I do tend to get a lot of people in the shot, which is not ideal, and I do want to give people their privacy. So wherever possible, I was not filming in certain areas because they were too crowded. Once again, we have found another little creature, which I absolutely adore, and I just love all the little moments and all the decor pieces. You can find a little nod to just about everything in the Star Wars universe in this shop alone. I'm pretty sure they have every little detail mounted up on the wall in some way, shape, or form. If you are a big enough nerd, I'm sure that you can figure out every single thing on the wall. There are some things that I recognized, but I will attest to not being the most nerdiest of Star Wars nerds. I know just enough to be dangerous in a conversation, and that is about it. I will probably lose handsomely to any sort of Star Wars trivia. I enjoy the movies, I enjoy the shows, I love the characters, but listen, names is just not necessarily my thing. And my brain does not hold a ton of information at any given moment. So I am not going to be the person that's going to be able to regurgitate the most up-to-date facts and stats on anything, let alone Star Wars. Of course, one of the main draw features of Galaxy's Edge is going to be this incredibly realistic, life-sized Millennium Falcon. I mean, come on, how absolutely gorgeous is she? Usually, you'll also find Chewbacca, Rey, and even R2-D2 working on the Millennium Falcon or just roaming around this area. We did not happen to see them on this day, but you can find them usually around this area. There are also only 2 rides in Galaxy's Edge. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is one of them, and the entrance is right next to the Millennium Falcon. It is a simulated ride, and it is a ride that multiple people can do together. It is not something that I am going to do anytime soon because simulated rides tend to make me very motion sick. So keep that in mind. I've heard good and bad things about this ride. Some people really love it, some people really don't. And it just depends on what type of ride person you are. If you can handle simulated rides, go for it. If not, maybe give it a skip. There are some quick serve stations around Galaxy's Edge like Ronto Roasters and the Milk Stand, both of which I did not really film because, again, I did not want to catch people mid-bite on a YouTube video. But one of the only restaurants that you can find in this area is going to be Docking Bay 7. And so today we decided to go to Docking Bay 7 for dinner, and I decided to order as much of the menu as possible so that we can show you a good overview of everything. And there were even some specialty items, but I tried to keep that to a minimum. Everything has an interesting name, but they also have a really great description underneath. They want to keep it thematic, but they also want to make sure that you know what you're getting. We decided to go with some kids meals for the kids, of course, and then we got it a couple of different entrees for the adults, and I got a seasonal drink, but besides that, everything else should be available. This is the moof juice. It is extremely refreshing.
Do you like that green?
So yummy. Let's start with the spicy noodles. Definitely has a little kick, but very good. Let's try some of the veggies. Ooh. These are the bows. That's really good. That has some really good flavor. It has a little bit of a kick to it, but it's not too bad. Let's try the mac on this.
All the drinks in the canteen.
What was that guy when he got the bounty hunter?
This chicken is really good.
Real good.
It's really good.
You got the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Pull back,
It
George.
was fun getting burnt ladder.
The texture is amazing. The flavor is so good. I love that. This is so good.
So good.
As far as Disney meals go, that was actually one of our favorite meals we've had in a very long time. Honestly, everything looked a little bit questionable, but once you had a couple of bites, you realized that it was immensely good quality, so delicious. Everything was filling, everything felt like it was interesting, but also comfort food-ish. So I definitely will be going back to Docking Bay 7. That was my first time having Docking Bay 7. I wanted to get the special moment on tape for you, and I also wanted to make sure that we got a good taste of just about everything, so we knew what we wanted to get the next time we went. And I think it's going to be really difficult to narrow it down because I really loved everything. This is another entrance into Galaxy's Edge, which is near Fantasyland, and this area of Galaxy's Edge is more reserved for the First Order and dedicated a little bit more to the dark side. So there's no disturbance in the Force. They have split up Galaxy's Edge basically into two main sections. This area right here is reserved for a First Order dark side character. So you'll find roaming stormtroopers if you're lucky, roaming Kylo Ren if you're very lucky. And then the merch that's available in this section is going to be geared toward more First Order dark side. So you'll find Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, stormtroopers, Imperial soldiers, things like that in this section. Whereas the area with the Millennium Falcon is more dedicated to the light side and to the rebellion. So you will find Chewbacca, R2-D2, Rey Skywalker. If you're lucky, you'll also find young Luke Skywalker like we just did. Sometimes they'll also have Ahsoka Tano if you're really lucky. And then they also have, on rare occasions, the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett bounty hunter roaming around as well. So that is kind of the breakdown. And if you're in this area hoping to see Chewbacca, that's just not gonna happen. So make sure that you are in the right side of the park for the right side of your group's activities. Once again, you'll find us in a shop going through all of the cool things that they have here. And once again, I'll also mention that there really is something for every budget here. There are things that are a little bit pricier for those who can afford it and those collectors among us. And then there are also things that are a little bit less expensive for the average family. And I always advocate for bringing snacks into the park since Disney will allow it. We have a droid popcorn bucket, so at home we popped our own popcorn and the kids had a little snack before the show. I have filmed the show for you and I will show that in a moment, but essentially this is basically a stage and there is actually space for Kylo Ren to come down that walkway since that is his TIE fighter. And I just love, once again, the immersiveness of it all. All of the details make so much sense. You can look up, you can look down, and you will feel like you are actually on another planet, which is exactly what they were going for, and they nailed it. When I said that the characters were roaming, that is exactly what I meant. There is nowhere in Galaxy's Edge that you're going to stand in line and wait to meet a character. These characters are walking around. They are just living their best lives as if they are actually on this planet and they all have a job to do. So definitely walk with them.
Attention! If you can hear the sound of my voice, please come closer. To all in this outpost, hear me. You may now consider yourselves under the watchful eye of the First Order. We are now firmly in power. The resistance has been destroyed, but they don't want to accept it. They do not see that the First Order brings stability, order, and the rule of law to the galaxy. The resistance would disrupt this balance. They would bring conflict. They would bring aggression, even war. we would be forced to respond with the same. Yet they press on, trying to survive, to keep fighting for a hopeless cause. We have reason to believe that a resistance spy was sent here to Batuu. Now, some of you may have even cooperated. Some of you may actually support the resistance. If so, well, we will find out. And you will feel the consequences of your actions. And travelers, I do mean consequences. Troopers!
Lieutenant.
Sir, welcome to Batuu.
You are a poor ambassador. Have you found the resistance spy?
Not yet, sir, but we will. I have initiated reconnaissance
You
patrols.
have failed, Lieutenant.
Sir, I can't.
That resistance spy was tracked to Batuu. You were sent to find her.
Sir!
If she is here, she may not be alone. Do you understand? The resistance must not be allowed to regroup. If someone in this outpost knows something, we need to find them.
Sir, I will lead a team right away.
You will await further orders. Troopers,
Yes, sir. Well, what are you all staring at? You there. Are you a spy? Would you like to be? Recruiting? Stay right there.
Yes, it does get a little bit crowded when characters are out, I will admit. And since there are roaming characters, it's kind of just first come, first serve. If you happen to be at the right place at the right time, or if you are just persistent enough, you will be able to have that one-on-one interaction with the characters. They also tend to really try to give each guest that they spot their own little unique experience, but it can be difficult when there are plenty of people around. The one benefit of Galaxy's Edge, however, is there are roaming characters all throughout the day and night. So unlike other areas of the parks, the characters do stay out at night, kind of like the Marvel Avengers campus area. And so if you're lucky enough and you stay long enough, or you try long enough, you will have a character interaction, I promise you. We're currently in line for Oga's Cantina. This is sort of a bar in the middle of Galaxy's Edge, and for the longest time this was the only place in Disney that you could find an alcoholic beverage, but there are more places now within Disneyland where you can find alcoholic beverages, but still one of the few places. And usually you do need a reservation for Oga's Cantina, but if you're very lucky, you can join the walk-up list, and as long as the wait is not too long, you can wait to be allowed in. You only have 45 minutes inside of Oga's Cantina once you're allowed in. The walk-up list for this particular day was about 30-minute wait, so it was not too terrible, and we decided to give it a shot. Yes, there is a bar, but you can bring your kids into this area. They do have non-alcoholic beverages as well as some meal items. And if you're really lucky, you even may be interrogated by a stormtrooper inside of Oga's Cantina. Even inside of the restaurant, you're not necessarily safe. Oga's Cantina tends to be a little bit loud, and you almost feel like you're within a vacuum or a chasm of some sort. So I decided to just go ahead and stick with the voiceover instead of giving you audio from inside of Oga's. But we decided to get a couple of drinks. We got this blue bantha for the kids, which came with a cookie. I personally was not a big fan of the blue bantha. My kids loved it. I love the Hyperdrive. This is a very refreshing non-alcoholic beverage, and I really enjoy that one. Personally, I decided to order the Yub Nub, which is an alcoholic beverage, kind of like jungle juice. My husband decided to order I can't even pronounce this, but I did not care for it. So it's a good thing that I can't pronounce it because I probably won't order it again. This is a pricey experience, but it is an experience that you're paying for. This is very, once again, immersive, and is one of those things that as a true Star Wars fan, just makes my heart go pitter patter. It is such a cool environment to be in. There are tons of cool spots around Galaxy's Edge to take some cute pictures. I've posted a lot of pictures from Galaxy's Edge on my Instagram page, so feel free to go check that out for any inspiration you might need. And there are also amazing Disney cast members all over, just so happy to take your picture, and they definitely have not only the best backdrops, but also they know the perfect angles, the perfect lighting techniques. So if you're looking for a really crisp, good picture, the Disney PhotoPass cast members are absolutely exceptional at their jobs, especially in this area. I feel like the people that work in this area are particularly phenomenal. But there are so many adorable backgrounds and backdrops and so many spots that are great for just stopping for a moment and taking a load off. We've chatted a little bit about price points, but things tend to be a little pricey, especially for my little ones who aren't maybe necessarily as shall we say, responsible to handle some of the pricier toys. So if you're looking for a cost-effective way to have a good time, definitely check out your local Dollar Tree. I found these lightsabers at Dollar Tree and they fold up neatly and go into a bag, so they were easy to bring along and the kids had so much fun on a dime. At the beginning of the video, I did mention that Galaxy's Edge tends to be pretty brutal in the summer months, and you may have seen throughout the footage that I have shown in the video so far of people just kind of trying to catch as much shade as possible. Wherever there's just a little square ounce of shade, people just flock to it. The Galaxy's Edge territory tends to be very well lit, let's say. There is a ton of sunlight throughout the day, and it tends to get quite warm, especially in the direct sunlight, and there tends to not be a ton of shade. So if you're coming in the warmer months, I highly recommend bringing UV umbrellas, bringing hand fans, bringing things like the towels that you can get wet that helps you bring down your temperature, and make sure that you're staying cool, staying hydrated. They also have a wonderful water fountain that can fill up your water bottles near a restroom. So there are definitely some options and ways that you could still enjoy Galaxy's Edge in the warmer months, but this definitely is something that we prefer to do in the winter or in the evenings. The evenings at Galaxy's Edge is absolutely stunning. I'll show you some nighttime footage toward the end of the video so you can see all of the gorgeous lighting. During the day, you get one view of Galaxy's Edge, and it is a beautiful view, don't get me wrong, but at night, it is just, completely transformed and absolutely spectacular, and almost as if you're seeing a brand new place for the very first time. So I highly recommend that if you are visiting Galaxy's Edge, that you make sure that if you're doing this in the morning, perhaps before it gets too warm, that you come back at the end of the day so you can see it in its full glory at night. And here we go with some more roaming characters. As a big Ahsoka Tano fan, I absolutely got completely distracted at this moment. This is definitely one of my awestruck moments. Meeting Ahsoka is one of my favorite Galaxy's Edge memories. I didn't want to spoil any more characters for you because I really do want you to go and see this for yourself. So let's take a detour tonight. Here is that entrance to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and here is the Millennium Falcon in its full glory at night. Isn't she just absolutely gorgeous? I absolutely adore the way that they not only have all of the direct lighting, but they also have all of this gorgeous, like, lit up mountains and just background lighting and just ambient lighting and just, whoever lit up Galaxy's Edge needs a raise because Galaxy's Edge at night is phenomenal. And then you add to it all of the lightsabers that come in at nighttime and light up the area from a different angle altogether. So the lighting experience really is very personalized as well. Here, once again, we have that little area next to Oga's Cantina. As you can see, at nighttime, it tends to be a little bit more crowded because most people tend to stay out of Galaxy's Edge in the afternoons when it's a little bit warm, and most people love seeing Galaxy's Edge at night, not only for the break in temperature, but also just because it is so absolutely stunning, spectacular, beautiful, gorgeous. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there are still a lot of roaming characters out at night. So just like Marvel Avengers Campus at DCA, Galaxy's Edge, you can find some characters in the evenings as well, which in Disneyland, really truly in the other areas like Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, you tend to have the characters kind of pack away after sunset. So characters aren't really out and about at the end of the day. But in Galaxy's Edge, they are. So people tend to come here for that character interaction. Also, during Season of the Force, they did have a very special fireworks projection in Galaxy's Edge that matched the fireworks that goes off in front of the castle. So at the castle, you'll see the fireworks with the projections and the music specifically designed for the nighttime spectacular. But in Galaxy's Edge, you'll kind of catch the backside of those fireworks with different music and different projections. On this particular day, however, sadly, there was big gusts of wind, and so it was not safe to do fireworks. However, they still ran with the projections, and it is still an absolutely gorgeous show. I am not afraid to admit that it still made me teary-eyed, so I still included it for you at the end of this video if you'd like to watch that. Of course, if you don't want any spoilers, you're welcome to just kind of skip it, but if you do enjoy a good show and you want to get all in the feels, definitely stay tuned for that at the end of this video. Also, if you're still here in this video, hi, thank you for staying. If you have any recommendations on how I can improve my narration of the videos, if things get a little bit too long-winded, or if you'd like some different information, or anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to be able to improve these videos and continue making them and having people actually enjoy them. So I'm very open to some feedback as long as it's respectful and it comes from a good place. I will be happy to receive it and make some adjustments accordingly. I did mention also at the beginning of the video that there are 3 main entrances into Galaxy's Edge, and so far in the video I've only shown you 2. I did exit through the 3rd entrance. I guess, is it an entrance? It could be either an entrance or an exit depending on which direction you're going. So, well, in this instance, it was an exit. So I exited through the 3rd way that you can come and go into Galaxy's Edge, which is near the Bayou Critter Country area. I guess now it's Bayou Country, not Critter Country anymore, but near the Hungry Bear restaurant. If you keep going, you will find your way into Galaxy's Edge. And this is also where you will find the best ride, in my opinion, in all of Disneyland, but also specifically in Galaxy's Edge. And this is going to be where you find Rise of the Resistance. This is definitely one of the newer rides in the parks, and like as you can tell, my favorite ride, but also the favorite ride of a lot of other Disney goers. Again, such a beautifully immersive experience. I have not filmed it for you. I don't want to spoil it for you. I may do a spoiler ride POV video in the future on Rise of the Resistance. However, I will say there is a drop. So if you are somebody that does not necessarily love a drop, it's not a terrible drop. I am not a thrill ride person, but there is a bit of a drop, and there's a lot of moving around. So it does move around quite a bit. Very similar to Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railroad. It has the similar ride vehicle and kind of trackless experience. So if that gives you an idea of what this ride is, that's how it's going to be. I put the map up on the screen for a little bit so you can just see the sheer bigness, for lack of a better word, of Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is absolutely massive, and there is so much within Galaxy's Edge. So we got a chance to see Docking Bay 7. We got a chance to see Oga's Cantina. I did not film anything from the milk stand because I'm not a big milk stand fan. There's very little that I like at the milk stand. I did not care for blue milk. I did not care for green milk. I got it one time because that's what fans do, and it was not my thing, and that's fine. It could be your thing, and that's okay, but it was not my thing. It is kind of like a slushy, smoothie, milky drink with a lot of fruity flavors. It was a little sweet for me, and I did not like the ice chunks, although on a hot day, that might actually be really refreshing. I also did not share Ronto Roasters, which is one of my favorite places to eat as well. I love Ronto Roasters, but it can be a little bit crowded because a lot of other people also really love Ronto Roasters. And then I just didn't film some of the smaller popcorn areas, but beyond that, you got to see everything.
Smugglers and scoundrels, pirates and rogues, travelers and adventurers, welcome. My name is Tohan Ledge, the Lore Weaver. Tonight, I invite you to join me around the fire of memory for a tale of prophecy. The story of a destiny fulfilled, a darkened curse, and a final redemption. The legend of a family, strong in the Force, entwined in a battle between the darkness and the light. There was prophecy about this boy, that much was clear. The Force was unusually strong in him. Could he be the chosen one? The child's promise was undeniable. His proud mother dreamed for him a bright future. But his path would be cloaked under a shadow of darkness. His life was without freedom, but he would grow to become cunning and brave. Soon these talents would draw the eyes of evil. tragic destiny, and the galaxy forever changed. Now the future must be forged on twin paths. Her calling as a leader. There was newfound hope. The galaxy fell into darkness, but the brave rose to meet it. Even in the midst of cold desolation, the embers of love burned bright. Jedi learn the old ways. Sister were reunited and brought light back to the galaxy.